Hi, I'm Frankie.
And I'm Cheyenne.
And we are
Conbini Cult.
Welcome to another episode.
Yes.
We're going to be doing a deep dive. I think maybe we should have this be like season 2. Because everything else I've been uploading is season 1. But I think as we're getting into these deep dives, maybe starting with bad teachers.
Okay.
That can be the start of season 2.
Okay, yeah.
Now we're in our deep dive era.
Yes, we are. Halloween is over, so we're getting into more deeper topics for sure.
More serious.
Yep.
So,
welcome to this new era of Conbini Cult.
Yeah.
I like that. Season 2.
Season 2.
Yeah.
So today's serious deep dive is going to be about the declining birth rate in the aging population.
Yes.
Get ready for existential crises.
Yeah. I'll wipe that smile off my face now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But before we get into that heavy topic, do you have a life update to share with us?
Not a life update, something I did recently. Have you ever ridden the romantic train or the Toroko Resha in Kyoto?
I have.
Yes.
And in fact, I was also sponsored by them recently. So
Ooh, very nice.
It's cute.
It is very cute. I like it a lot. It was my second time riding it. But the first time when it was closer to Christmas, so they kind of like light up a lot of the trees. It was too early to see the fall leaves, so nothing was like red or brown for the most part. But it was.
Did you ride it in the evening or
at like
in the
night?
daytime?
No, at night. So a
Okay.
lot of it is also just very dark. But they do light up the trees pretty nice. Like I like the nighttime vibe of it, but. I've never ridden it during the day, so I would like to see what it looks like during the day.
I've never ridden it at night.
Oh, really? Because
Yeah.
like the day, I assume it's very pretty. Because even at night, they light it up in a way you can still see like the river and everything. Like the nature around it looks super pretty, you know.
Okay.
But I can only imagine how much prettier it would be, you know, with actual daylight hours, you know. So
Yeah, that's true. The first time I rode it was in 2021, I think.
Ooh,
so it was still very busy, but of course the borders were closed at that time, so it was more like domestic tourists.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So because of that, I guess, did the train conductor, or like, you know, the organizer, was the information entirely in Japanese, or did they have different languages available?
Yes, at that time.
Yeah.
But these days, they're speaking more English at least.
Yeah, they're speaking more English and also a lot of Chinese too. And I don't know if it was the specific train conductor I had like that day, but I couldn't tell if he was like reading a script or what, but he was like switching from all three. So he would give information in Japanese and then Chinese and then in English. And I thought he was a native speaker, or at least like, you know, had some knowledge of basic like Chinese phrases and stuff, because there were like some passengers who maybe if they were like standing up and stuff, he would like tell them to sit down and and everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It felt very international the day I went, but
very cool.
Yeah, it was very nice. And then before that, I went to Arashiyama in Kyoto for a little bit, and I've been to Arashiyama like kind of mid-pandemic before borders were open, so I've got to see it with no one there. And then of course when I went there the other day, there was everyone there.
Crazy.
Yeah, and it's a very, very lovely, beautiful place, but to that degree I don't understand the hype so much to like have that many people there. I don't know, I just felt like I was in like influencer hell the day I went. Like the day and time I went is what I'm trying to say.
It was a weekday too, right?
Yeah, and it was like still crowded, which is kind of insane because I can only imagine how it is on the weekend. But, you know, walking through it, it's kind of like a skinny path, right? It's not like an open field of forest. And so, yeah, like walking through there, I felt like I was in the background of a lot of photos, like people just posing like right in the middle of the walkway. There was a lot of tripods I was walking around. And
tripods? Are you talking about the bamboo path?
Yeah. People were just like posting up
you
tripods.
Can have tripods there?
I don't think you can, or you should, but they were there. And you would know, are drones allowed at Arashiyama?
Well, no, they are not.
Guess what? There was a person flying a drone in the forest, in the bamboo path at Arashiyama. Okay. And I took a video of it because I was like, I'm pretty sure this is not allowed. But yeah, so don't be that a-hole. Don't bring a drone to places where there's no fly zones. And yeah, it was kind of just, it was pretty, but kind of like sad to see you know, the amount of people. Yeah. I don't know. We've talked about tourism a lot, so I'll keep like the bitterness to myself. But it was crowded. Yeah. I had a fun time, though.
Yeah. But as I mentioned in our over-tourism, over-saturation episode, I think because it's in, like, every guidebook.
Yeah.
Whenever somebody makes, like, 5 places you must go in Kyoto, it's always Arashiyama. So I think,
that's true.
Even within Kyoto City, we got to promote some other places, you know?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And again, it's a very beautiful place.
I say as I was just sponsored by the Sagano Romantic Train. But it goes to Kameoka. Kameoka's different.
Oh, yeah, and Kameoka... Hello? Kameoka, yeah. I mean, I've only ridden the train at night, so every time I get off at Kameoka, it's
there's
pitch
nothing,
black. There's nothing. So I'm kind of like, ooh, like maybe a fun town to see during the day, I assume.
Yeah, but where the romantic train leaves you in Kameoka, it's kind of like in the middle of a field.
Oh yeah, it's like in the rice field, and you have to.
So you'd have to like
walk through it,
for like a good 20 minutes at least to get to something interesting.
It's pretty inaka for sure, but I don't know. Again, very very beautiful place, just not meant to handle so many people, and that's like what makes it a bummer. But I had a good day off. It was fun. Yeah. How about
you? Had a good time.
Thank you.
Anywho, so back to the depressing topic.
Yeah. Now to get serious.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe you have seen. I think by the time this episode comes out, it will have been last month's news. It was sometime in November. So the leader of the Conservative Party in Japan made some controversial statements. Some ideas about how he thinks he could solve, or we could solve the declining birth rate, aging population crisis. He basically said, like, stop women from entering university when they turn 18, ban women from getting married when they turn 25 for the rest of their lives, and to give women hysterectomies at 30.
Okay.
In hopes to, I guess, scare women into having children faster.
Okay, so an old man in the government
is always the crusty dusties.
Thinking about how he should control women's bodies. Ooh, surprise, surprise.
Yeah, so there was obviously some backlash to his statements.
A lot. Yeah.
A lot of backlash to these statements, and then he pretty much said, like, oh no, this was like think of it as like science fiction, as like a dystopian like thing that could happen.
Yeah.
Sure, buddy.
I don't know. Like, and this is so insane because we come from the US, a country that
not much better.
The current president has also said some like wild things regarding, abortion and things like that. And so to hear this all the way in Japan too, I mean, Japan's not perfect either. There's always been, a long history of, fertility and birth and how women should get married and all of that stuff. So it's not a surprise, but also like, hey, just like leave us alone. What's going on? I don't know. I was so surprised, but I wasn't even like shocked almost.
Yeah, I was not like, that shocked. Obviously, it's jarring to read that, but...
Yeah, I don't know. Like, once I saw the dude's face, I was like, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. He would say some weird stuff like that, but okay.
Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, even before he made those comments, we wanted to kind of do a deep dive on this topic anyway, because it is a pretty big issue in Japan to the point where there's a word for it. For the declining birth rate aging population.
Yeah, what is it?
It's a long word, so I gotta look at my notes. Shoushikoureika.
Shoushikoureika.
I don't know if my intonation is perfect, but I'm not a native speaker.
That's a long word.
Shoushikoureika.
Bringing back the word of the day.
Yeah. I mean, for the other episodes, I put like words in the description.
I know.
This is words we've mentioned, but this is the official
word
of the day.
A big one. Big player in today's topic.
Yeah, so I have a disclaimer.
Here we go.
So actually I have two.
Oh.
So the first disclaimer. So we're going to say this at the end of the episode as well, but this is obviously a very complex topic. We're not going to be able to cover any and all relevant information in just like an hour or hour and a half, however long it's going to be. Yeah. So it is important though, so we just want to, open up the discussion. And disclaimer 2. So in these deep dives, we're not coming at it from an angle of being experts. Like, obviously, we didn't grow up here.
Yeah.
We just want to learn more about these topics and are kind of like bringing you along the the journey as we learn about it. So if you have any additional sources or like relevant information for us, like if you want to send us links to things, please do that. And then anything that we're going to talk about in today's episode, all of the sources will, of course, be linked in the description, in the show notes. So, yeah, I'm not just pulling these stats out of my booty. So they came from somewhere. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of notes. Frankie did a lot of research for this one. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for the last one.
Yeah,
we're kind of like switching off with these deep dives now because it requires research, but it's fun. So basically, to prep for this episode, like I just made a list of like all the questions I had regarding the topics, and then kind of looked into it. So some of the questions we will get into. So how bad is it? What's the birth rate? Does Japan have the lowest birth rate in the world? How does Japan's birth rate compare to other countries? What actually happens when a country's birth rate declines rapidly? Why don't people want to have kids? And how is the government addressing it?
Great questions.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Just a few questions that led me down this rabbit hole.
Yep.
A side note, I may have asked you before if you know the YouTuber Let's Ask Shogo.
You did, and then I think I said the same answer where I was like, maybe if I see his face, I will know. I'm so, especially these days, because there's so many like YouTubers and interviewers and everyone. So I'm really, really bad at names. I'm so sorry.
Well, he and his family live in Kyoto.
Okay.
He and his wife have a few like really cute children, and he talks about, I think, like history and social issues on his channel.
Oh, cool.
So
cool.
it's good.
Nice.
But I remember in one video, because he was also talking about the birth rate aging population crisis, and he was talking about politicians in Japan, like how a lot of them talk more to the elderly population because that is the big population here. And he said pretty much like Japan is like a big retirement home.
Yeah. Kind of facts, for sure.
Yeah. So I just thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Kind of relevant to this topic too.
Yep.
Okay. So what are some potential, or I guess inevitable, problems that a country with a declining birth rate could face?
I don't know.
Do you know?
I don't. Tell me more.
So one of them could be the rapidly aging population, without births to balance it out, of course, could cause the collapse of social welfare.
Social
Pretty much. That's what's going on. Okay. It could cause the collapse of social welfare systems, the healthcare system, the pension and retirement systems. There would be a smaller and more demanding workforce. So, of course, the people in it are going to have to work harder with less benefits. Deflation, a failing economy, decreased military strength, just to name a few.
Yeah.
It's pretty bleak.
None of that sounded like positive at all.
Yeah.
I see.
So we've also got some stats about like life expectancy and stuff. So
So actually, Japan has one of the longest life expectancies. As of 2024, Hong Kong is slightly higher than Japan at 85.63 years old. But Japan's life expectancy overall is 84.85 years. More specifically, 87.9 for women and 81.8 for men. Wow.
Really long.
That's really long. I wonder, like, did you take a look at the U.S.? I want to say it's like 70s.
I think it's
like
it's in the 70s.
Yeah. I don't know. This makes me like kind of happy because my grandma is going to turn 89 this year. So I'm like, ooh, she's in that top percent. My grandma's Korean though. But anyway, so a fun fact, the oldest person in the world is actually a Japanese lady. She's born in Osaka, but now living in Arashiyama in Hyogo. And she is now 116 years old. Jesus.
Yeah.
Tomiko Itooka was awarded the oldest living person by the Guinness Book of World Records in September of this year. She is still alive as of November 24th, 2024, while we are recording this. So shout out Tomiko.
Yeah, she's right in our neighborhood in Kansai.
She is. Yeah, she's so close. Nagaku ikite ne. Like, live a long life. Very fun. And last thing, the population is expected to drop by half by the end of the century, though. The number of births, the fertility rate, population, and the number of marriages is also decreasing.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, like that is an ongoing problem in a lot of places in the world.
Oh, yeah.
But it's more of an issue in Japan because there are so many older people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think
you need the births to balance out the deaths.
Oh, that sounded so dark.
I'm sorry, that sounded very bleak.
For sure. Okay.
But yeah, so let's get into... Oh, no, sorry, before that. So for the population, so as of January 1st, 2024, the total population in Japan was 121 million and then some, according to data released by the International Affairs Ministry on July 24th. And I think the 3.3 million residents that are foreign are not included in that. Oh. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Maybe. But there's 3.3 million of us.
That's more than I thought.
That's a lot.
That's a lot
That
of
has
people.
also increased, which I think I have some stats about that for later.
Nice. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So 121 million.
That's still so many people.
Yeah. It's a lot of people for a pretty small
country. Yeah. And I assume a lot of them are just packed into Tokyo too, right?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So now getting into fertility rates. So do you know what country has the lowest fertility rate in the world?
Is it not Japan?
It's not Japan.
Ooh. Not Japan. Is it neighboring Japan? Is it like South Korea or something?
Yeah.
Oh!
Yeah, South Korea.
I wonder. I mean, and I just took a guess because I'm thinking of a country that maybe has similar, I don't know, economic or like values towards marriage and study and work and stuff. So that's why I thought it. Okay.
Yeah. It's South Korea right now, followed by Taiwan and Singapore.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even think about them. Okay.
Yeah, but it might change next year as they're calculating like all the 2024 births. So we will see.
Yeah.
So I found an article about Japan's fertility rates, and basically like the main points I found were that Japan's total fertility rate hit a new low of 1.2 in 2023, with the rate for Tokyo falling to 0.99 for the first time.
Not even a full baby. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the first time any prefecture has hit less than 1.
That is so gnarly.
0.99?
Yeah.
Still less than 1?
No. It's a baby missing like a toe or something, I guess. Like, sorry, it's going to sound really stupid of me, but like, for example, you know, birth rates, in this case, it's like 1.75 or like 0.99.
Yeah,
like,
it just sounds funny.
It just sounds funny, you know, because we're talking about like people, right? But like, yeah, just
stats,
I don't understand those numbers. But like, okay, yes, I see.
Yeah, once you start dividing things, you get not whole numbers.
Math. So, okay.
Yeah. So last year, 2023, Japan logged 727,277 births, down 43,482 compared to the previous year, and marking a record low for the 8th consecutive year.
Oof. Okay.
During the first baby boom, so 1947 to 49, immediately after the end of World War II, the number of annual births in Japan reached 2.5 million.
Wow.
And the births exceeded 2 million during the second baby boom in the 70s.
Okay.
So
truly baby boomers.
Yeah, so more than double what it is now. Okay. So since then, the number has consistently declined without a spike in births when the second baby boom generation reached the age to have their own children.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the number of births dropped below the number of deaths for the first time in 2007. So there are more people passing away than there are being born. In 2023, there were 474,717 marriages, a decrease. Oh my God, why do I keep saying
decrease? I think we need to eat.
There are too many numbers.
So yeah, there's a lot of numbers.
So many numbers.
And I'm not looking at them, so I'm like the math meme in my head. I'm like,
Okay. One more try.
Okay.
Getting back into it. Yes. So in 2023, there were 474,717 marriages, a decrease of 30,213, or 6%, making it the first time in the post-war era the figure has fallen below 500,000.
Oh. Okay.
So not only are the births decreasing, the number of marriages are also decreasing. And during the baby boom, of course, babies were booming.
The babies were booming, yes.
But yeah, so last year it wasn't not even a million kids.
That's crazy.
Were born.
What a crazy ratio. I don't know. I didn't even think about it in numbers, you know, because like I've known about the decreasing fertility rate or the birth rate for a long time, obviously. But I guess, yeah, you never really think about like how many people a year, especially in relation to how many deaths there are a year. And
so that is a pretty alarming statistic.
To hear in, like stats and numbers. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So we have some other stats about the population. Japan's population peaked in 2009 and has since declined for 15 consecutive years. The population of foreign nationals living in Japan increased by 329,535 to 3,323,374.
That's crazy.
God damn.
I was like, am I reading this wrong? Because that's a huge
jump. Yeah. And I'm sorry.
In the past 15 years,
Oh, in the 15 years. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that was my next question. Wow. Okay. By prefecture, the population of Tokyo increased by 3,933 or 0.03% from the previous year. Tokyo was the only administrative area where the population increased. However, the population of the Tokyo metropolitan area, which includes neighboring Saitama, Chiba, and Kanagawa prefectures, declined 0.19%. So it was the third consecutive year of decline.
Yeah. So did we just mention this or not? But the reason Tokyo's population increased was because of people moving there for work and school.
Yeah. I don't even remember if we mentioned, but it can be assumed, yeah.
Double whammy.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. The Kansai metropolitan area also saw a 0.63% decrease. Yeah. So the Nagoya metropolitan area saw 0.71% decrease, and these declines show no sign of slowing. Whew. Of all 47 prefectures, Akita lost the most people, down 1.83% from the previous year. Aomori Prefecture saw a 1.72% decrease from the previous year, and Iwate Prefecture saw a 1.61% decrease.
And those are all northern prefectures?
Yeah, and I'm going to assume that's because people are moving out of those prefectures to work and live in Tokyo. Is that what that is? Because
probably
population decrease just factors in like moving and everything too, and deaths.
Oh, yes, moving as well.
It's not just 1.61% of the population is dying in Akita or in
I
Iwate,
think it's a combination of deaths and moving.
Deaths. Okay. Yeah. Oh, then in that case, I mean, it's still very bad and still a lot, but at least it's not like just the number of people dying there. Yeah. I see. Did you want to read the no, go ahead.
So do you know off the top of your head what the least populated prefecture in Japan is?
I actually did before I saw the notes.
Okay.
So Tottori Prefecture is the least populated prefecture in Japan, correct?
Yeah.
And I only know that because my partner, his first year at his company, he was stationed in Tottori Prefecture. And so I got to see firsthand, just how little the people are there. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's very desolate. And with COVID too, it just really seemed like, I don't know, a deserted town almost.
Yeah, very quiet. But it is a beautiful prefecture. There's a lot of wonderful stuff.
So many like great things to do there. A lot of beautiful nature, and it, like Tottori City, if you want to call it a city, it does have like the main stuff. Like there's shopping and things to do there too. And personally, I would love to live there at least once in my life. Yeah, it's very very nice. Very spacious too.
Yeah, so Tottori is the least populated prefecture, followed by Shimane. Shimane is right next to.
Okay,
sorry, I think it's on the left. Shimane is next to Tottori. And then the third one is Kochi Prefecture.
Oh, I've never been there before. I didn't think that.
All beautiful places. I mean, every prefecture has beautiful things to see. So. Yeah. So those are the least populated, but the prefectures with the highest aging rates.
Ooh, yes. I want to know this one.
So top 5.
Okay.
Number 1 is Akita.
Okay. I somehow had a feeling for some reason.
Yeah, because that was also the prefecture with the most population decline.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have a high aging rate there. So 1, Akita. 2, Kochi. 3, Tokushima and Yamaguchi were tied.
Oh, interesting.
4 is Aomori. 5, Yamagata.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they might have been tied as well, but
okay, so I'll ask you because I haven't actually been to any of these prefectures mentioned just now. You have all of them, right? And so
that's my soft flex. I've been to all 47 prefectures.
That's such a flex. But so my question, I guess, you know, I know you don't like live there, but based on your time there, is it pretty desolate? Like, are they all pretty inaka-ish places? Yeah.
I think it's a bit more obvious in Shikoku, maybe because I've spent more time there. So Shikoku is Ehime, Tokushima, Kagawa, and Kochi. So yeah, over the spring, I spent like 5 days driving around Shikoku by myself. And in Kochi, it's like a lot of mountain, not that many people.
Oh, I see.
And then I know Tokushima has some of like the most remote areas.
Oh.
Yeah, so there's an area called the Iya Valley.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to get there. Like, I mean, there are mountain roads all over Japan, but the mountain roads in the Iya Valley are like crazy steep and winding.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really hard to get to a lot of these towns and villages.
I don't know why I was imagining Tokushima to be at least like a little more city-ish, like
there's
a little
Tokushima
more populated.
City.
Right.
There is a city there.
I see. Huh.
It's probably, I mean, usually like the main city is the most populated place in each prefecture. But once you get into like rural Tokushima, it's very, very rural.
That makes sense. Because they have the like awadori, that big festival, right?
Yeah, so that's true.
I just assume like, oh, there's people there.
Yeah. And then Kochi also has like the Yosakoi like dance festival as well around the same time.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are moving away or
Okay.
not being born there. So could you take the population predictions and projections?
Sure. So some population projections and predictions for the year 2070. The population is projected to fall to 87 million, which is about 70% of the current population of 126 million. Oof.
Yeah, so seeing that made me wonder, like, was the foreign population not included in the total population?
I don't think so.
Because a lot of times I hear like 124, like 125.
Oh, I see. Oh, maybe. I also just like wouldn't be surprised if we weren't included in like any stats. I don't know.
Yeah, but also like all of these sources probably have their own like study that they have pulled these stats from. So
Got to. Some other projections. The UN forecasts that Japan's population could fall to 104.9 million people by 2050 and possibly as low as 87 million by 2060. So that was just a little shorter than the other source we just mentioned.
Yeah.
But either way, it's not looking very good for people here. I don't know. Okay, another dumb question. Yes, a dramatic decrease of population like this case we mentioned probably is not good. Yeah. But like there's so many people in Japan, like in Tokyo especially, you know, like, and there's just so many people around the world. And not to sound like, I don't know, like what like a supervillain or anything, but like how bad is it for there to be less people in a densely populated place like Japan? You know what I mean? I guess.
Yeah, but the problem is
everything is affected, I assume, right? Like the economy and everything.
Yeah. So as I mentioned towards the beginning of the episode, like the problems that could occur from this. So like the fall of social welfare. Again, social war.
Social war.
The decline of social welfare systems. So, I mean, we already see like the pension system is like, it's already shaking.
You're true. Yeah. You're true. That's true. Yeah. I see. Okay. So overall not good.
Yeah. So I was trying to look for how many people are retired in Japan right now.
Like, good question.
Yeah. For all of this stuff, I was searching in both English and Japanese.
Yeah.
Maybe I was using the wrong word in my Japanese search, but in Japanese, I kept getting information about like the
Chernobyl?
In Japanese, I kept getting information about the turnover rate for companies.
Oh.
Because I guess like taishoku could also be like just, leaving your job permanently, not like retiring for good.
Yeah.
So there's that. But yeah, so basically like what I was finding was just how many people are over 65, not necessarily who is out of the workforce.
Okay.
But as of September 15, 2023, Japan had an estimated 36.2 million people aged 65 or older, which is 29.1% of the total population.
Okay.
That's
a lot of people over 65.
Yeah. And of course, that every year that number is
increasing. 29%, you said?
29% last year.
What?
So, yeah, I mean, we're nearing the end of 2024 now, so we'll get some new stats next year, but...
Yeah. And if it's only increasing, so what, maybe like 30% next year? If it's a big jump like that?
It could even be more. So definitely, like, in our lifetimes, we're going to see the shift of, like, 50% or more people being 65 or older.
I feel like I already see so many old people everywhere.
30% is a very big number.
I mean, it's a huge number. Yeah, for sure.
It's a big number for Elmo.
That's a big number for Elmo. Yeah, for real. But, okay, so 30% is people over 65. What is the remaining 70%? Do they calculate it like, okay, 65 and older, and then 65 and
Everybody
younger?
under 65.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So there's not like let's say 20%, 64 to 40, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I'm sure there are.
I want to know like
about
other
that.
ratios of other ages. Yeah,
I just didn't look that up.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. You
You
don't need to know it now, but I'm just curious.
It might be in the article I'm gonna link.
Yeah,
but yeah, I was more focused on like who is probably retired.
Yeah.
So yeah, nearly 30% is like at retirement age.
Crazy.
Already. Yeah.
And then you have to think about the very minimum percent of people who can like take care of them too, right? Like all the caregivers and stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Bring us back to birth stuff, I guess.
Yeah. So getting more onto the topic of like not just the declining birth rate, but like birth stuff in general. So yeah, like why do Japanese women want to either wait to have kids or not have them?
Mm-hmm.
So there are probably similar reasons for people who can give birth around the world. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I wanted to find out like specifically like what Japanese women are thinking.
Yeah.
So I was looking up some surveys and I found one on this site called, it's like a blog called Mama no wa.
Okay.
So just mama stuff.
Okay.
So of course these surveys are always going to be a little biased based on who are the people who answers them. But yeah, it kind of gives a good idea just about what a lot of people are thinking.
Yeah, I'm curious to know why.
Yeah. So I would recommend reading the whole thing. We're not going to go over every part. But for the women who do not have children, these were their top 5 reasons. Okay. So one of them was age, then money. Then we have infertility or failed fertility treatments. Also interference with career. I mean, like, let's be honest, like it really does affect a woman's career having a kid, whereas like for men it really doesn't. Yeah. It might even benefit them. Oh. Because they're like, oh, well, this is a responsible man with a family. Give him a promotion. Give him a raise. Yeah, He's got kids to feed. For sure. Whereas for women, it's like, oh no.
You took time off. Yeah. Like you can't work. Okay. Less pay.
Exactly. Yeah.
I see.
And then reason number 5, they just don't want them.
Yeah. And that's a fair reason too.
Yeah.
I see.
So that was from a survey, but I also wanted to get some opinions from the people in our lives as well. So we asked our male partners to start.
Yeah. Our male Japanese partners, by the way. So my partner said that in his opinion, the main reason why he thinks, couples aren't having children is because of like the economy basically and taxes. Especially income tax. So if you're unfamiliar, Japan, you have to pay a lot of different kinds of taxes here. And income tax, what is it, like 10% or something like that, depending on like what kind of job you have, is taken out of your paycheck every month. And of course, that depends on how much money you make every month is, how much tax is taken out. And so in my partner's case, I think he gave an example once he saw like over like at least every month, juuminzei is taken out. And that's over like in easy conversion, $1,000 or something. And so that's just like a lot of, taxes that are being paid and money that can't be saved and things like that, was one of his thoughts. And he also mentioned that, Japan's government is led almost entirely by old Japanese men. So a lot of the policies only benefit the older population because it's kind of who they really think about and prioritize. And this trickles down making it harder for, younger people to earn money, and there aren't that many benefits for the younger population. Also, this is my wording, not his. I said, governments run by old geezers don't exactly lead to a lot of policies that are beneficial for, again, young people or like women either.
That's true.
So in addition, the amount of taxes that the working class has to pay may affect their overall take-home income, which in turn affects their finances to raise children. So yeah, in short, it's just maybe too expensive for them to raise kids here. And I asked, my partner, what about, working culture here and like overtime? Do you think the amount of overtime usually men have to spend at work affects, a relationship and a couple's like intimacy and stuff?
Yes,
and he said, yeah, that definitely plays a factor. But his personal thoughts, he said, I don't think people have issue with, meeting people or like getting intimate or things like that. They just think the long run is like not worth, like, I don't know, like the cost, I guess. Like if you think about just the financial aspect of raising children, people probably can't or just prefer not to. So yeah, was his take on it.
Good points.
Yeah.
I asked my partner as well, and he was very brief in his answer. He was like, "Oh, money."
Yeah.
I was like, could you elaborate a little more?
Yeah.
And he said, time and money. So, okay.
Okay, so it's kind of like what my partner said too, I guess. Yeah.
The shorter to summarize version. What your partner said.
Yeah. So they
and money.
Our partners, again, the men kind of just push it down to time and money.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, interesting. Yeah. So now I'm very curious to see like what your friend
So I asked one of my friends, a Japanese gal, what her thoughts were, and she said, like, based on a lot of her friends who are choosing not to get married, like a lot of this comes from that. So basically, to summarize, the age you are expected to get married by and the value of marriage is changing.
Oh.
So it's not really for religious reasons in Japan, whereas it might be in other countries. But more so in the old days in Japan, people would get married for like family and business connections.
Oh, I see.
It wasn't for love.
Yeah. Okay.
So these days, like more people do marry for love, I guess. And they're like, there's not really like a benefit as much for like business stuff. I mean, depending on the family.
Yeah.
And like societal expectations and older generations had more of this image to settle and have more kids.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. And she said many of her friends went to university and went to work for big companies afterwards, and they really loved their career. And that, like, I mean, there's not like full equality, but like, just like having similar opportunities to guys. So like, they really value their education and their jobs, and they don't want to risk that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. She also said oftentimes maternity leave doesn't guarantee the career. Like even though legally companies are supposed to offer it, like that doesn't mean the same position is waiting for you when you come back.
Scary.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that could be a deep dive.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
But
and not all companies do that, of course, but I didn't even know that was like a thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, a friend of mine is currently pregnant, but like when she told the boss, they basically said like, yeah, you can take maternity leave, but like we don't know if there will be a job for you when your leave is over.
What? So like, so she gives birth, her leave is done, and then she gets back, and there's a chance they could say like, oh, you don't have a position anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like a light
illegal.
firing. Yeah, I mean, for sure. Yeah. That is, especially because like you might as well, because maternity leave is like covered by the employer, right? And so
I think so.
Some like, and while you're on
Depends
maternity
what kind of
leave,
company.
depending on the company and all of that and your contract or whatever, you still get paid on maternity leave. So it just seems like kind of counterproductive to be like, yeah, like here you can take your leave and we'll still pay you, because you get paid like a certain percentage, not your full income.
That's true. I mean, I think it's supposed to be paid.
Yeah. Oh,
for like 3 months or something. But let's say she wanted to take a longer leave.
See. But still, like, again, why go through the trouble of be like, yeah, you can take your maternity leave and we'll pay for it, but then when you come back, like, you won't have a job. Like, that, it just sounds like, did we cover, like, how companies kind of bully you into quitting so they don't have to fire you, because the firing process in Japan is kind of like really lengthy. Yeah.
But I think that could be a deep dive.
Yeah, because it sounds like that. Like it just sounds like they're pressuring her to. So in her case, she is just put off by everything entirely. She's like, well, I quit. And then they win essentially, because they're like, well, now like we don't have to pay your leave. And also we can just hire like someone new who won't leave. So, yuck.
Yeah, these are not good companies.
Yeah. And again, that's like the shady companies, not all of them, of course.
Yeah. I mean, if you take the time to pursue it like legally, you could probably win. I mean, depending on the contract and the company and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But
I don't know, it just doesn't sound right. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, also, my friend said like a lot of her friends are just enjoying their life as it is, and it seems like kids in marriage are like really costly with no benefit, pretty much.
Yeah, that's fair.
To some people, of course. Yeah. I mean, everybody has their own views on like if they want to start a family or not. So and this is that's people who don't want to pursue it right now. So.
Yeah, I mean, kids are expensive. Like kids in this economy, you know, like
how much are diapers? I
don't even know. I don't want to think about it, but like kids are expensive, and I think in a good way, the stigma behind, you know, expecting women to be mothers is slowly fading. I mean, it's kind of been fading for a while, at least like, you know, in the US, I feel at least it's been a little more socially accepted to be like, I don't want kids. And then no one asks you why. Not everyone, but like usually it's kind of like, okay, you know, at least people in our age bracket, it's totally normal. Yeah,
for us. But like for older people, they're
going to be like, why? You know, and so I feel like that stigma slowly,
you're gonna die alone. Don't you want kids to take care of you?
Yeah, is like hopefully fading among the younger generation in Japan. Have you ever heard of the Christmas cake theory?
Yes. After nobody wants a Christmas cake after the 25th, so nobody wants a woman after 25. Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio. Oh. No, don't turn 26. You're so sexy. But yeah, and there's like, you know, awful ways of thinking like that too. So,
yeah. But yeah, and also my friend just said like it's pretty normal for especially girls to still live with their parents into adulthood. So there's not as much pressure to like get out, like start a new family.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, a big part of it is like cultural reasons, of course. Yeah.
And then also she said like perhaps from a guy's perspective, like there is still like a pretty big expectation for the guy to like lead or pay for things. So it's a lot of pressure for them as well to think about providing for a family. So yeah, maybe some of her male friends are not as interested in settling down right away because of those reasons. And like single income households are increasingly harder to maintain.
For sure.
Yeah.
What a good take. Yeah. Those are some very interesting reasons.
I'm very glad she gave me all that insight.
Yeah, for sure. Because I didn't have any like Japanese girlfriends like that to ask. So it's nice to hear.
An interesting statistic that I found. So according to a survey by the National Institute of Population and Social Security Research, the average number of births for couples where the woman marries between the ages of 20 and 24 are 2.08.
Okay.
This is in Japan, by the way. Compared with 1.92 for couples aged 25 to 29 and 1.5 for couples aged 30 to 34. So in summary, like as couples, if they get married when they're a little bit older, it seems like they're less likely to have as many kids. So yeah, is that why the conservative party leader was like, oh, they could have half a kid more.
Oh my God.
Stop them at 25.
I guess, but like, I don't know. I mean, that does make sense though. You know, the older you get, I'm sure you're just like more established in your career and you realize like you want to focus on that. Also just age and biology, I'm sure it gets harder to have kids when you're older and things like that too. Or I don't know. Well,
can't just keep popping them out.
No. Maybe you're older, so you're just more mature, and your brain is developed more to be like, actually, I'm
these
okay.
things cost money. So.
Yeah, I don't know. Even though, like, hopefully, you know, you make more money at 30 than you do at 21, right? So even though you might be more like financially prepared, you're also, I guess, more financially aware of like how much things cost and stuff, and so that could be a big factor for sure.
Yeah. So that led me to the question,
Okay.
what is the government actually doing to address the declining birth rate and aging population crisis?
Well, they've done a couple of things. One silly thing they've done, the Tokyo government launched a matchmaking app back in September of 2024. I don't know if any matches have been made since then.
Yeah, did you see that news?
What's it called, the app?
I don't know what it was called. It was like some AI, like, of course, AI thing. Matchmaking app in order to, like, I don't know.
Is it like more, I guess, to encourage like more serious relationships?
Yes.
Like anyone on this app is like because
Looking
you
for
want to
marriage.
get married
Yes.
and like have kids or like have a family?
Yes.
Huh. Then like I don't think there's zero users. I mean, Japan is a big fan of, goukon, like matchmaking parties and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
people have never been against the idea of like being set up on dates or going to like, paying for matchmaking events and, going out and meeting people. So
Yeah.
I feel like the app is kind of appropriate for the year, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the app itself is weird. It was just kind of silly to me because it was like a government-sponsored app.
Yeah, right. And like because of that, I mean, apps and software, everyone like collects your data at this point. But like the Tokyo government, and you're just like registered in this like government app. I don't know. It sounds very like dystopian almost.
Like,
like,
how did you meet your partner? Oh, the government.
the government,
set us up.
like, okay,
The government thought we might be a good match.
right?
But yeah, it's a really new
Yeah,
app,
I didn't
though.
know. I mean, September of this year, it's only a couple months old, basically.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, have any marriages happened because of this app?
Let us know in the comments or anonymously via email or something.
If you use that app and you're now married, let us know.
Like I want to see a success story, honestly.
Yeah,
That would be super fun.
We're rooting for you.
Yeah, we're all rooting for you. But anyway, on a more serious note,
Yep.
the Kishida administration has announced plans last year
Last
for a massive new spending package aimed at stemming the decline in births, arguing that the next 6 or 7 years are Japan's last chance to address the problem and avoid disastrous consequences. So the government has called for concentrated efforts over the next 3 years with 3.5 trillion yen, roughly 22 million USD, in new spending allocated to childcare and other support for families with children. But such ambitious new programs, like Japan's burgeoning defense budget, need funding sources, which the government has yet to clearly identify. So, yeah.
I don't think anything has been passed
I don't
yet.
know. I mean, Japan, you pay so many taxes already. Like, what's another tax about? Like, birth support or something, I guess.
Yeah.
Or, like, I think it should be included in, like, juuminzei, like residence tax. No? Is that not something they can do? I don't know anything about taxes or finance, but...
That's why we're going to eventually do a deep dive about taxes.
Yeah, because, I don't know. I don't even, like, know how to really do my own taxes in the U.S. Like... Sorry, don't arrest me, IRS. I do them, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's just something that you do, but maybe don't fully understand how it works. You just have to do it or else you're going to pay the consequences.
That's life.
So, yeah. So now I wanted to, like, talk about our personal opinions about this as well as to why, like, maybe less people want to have kids or... why this birth rate is declining so rapidly. So for me, in my humble opinion, and of course as like someone who didn't grow up here.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but again, like a lot of the issues are similar around the world. So I think, obviously money is a big issue that a lot of people talk about, why they might be hesitant to have kids, and like maybe the government support would help to change some people's minds. But I think another big factor is like how pregnant women and mothers are treated. We talked about in a previous episode about the maternity badge.
That matahara, maternity harassment. Yeah.
So that is like when you register your pregnancy at City Hall, they give you like this badge that you can put on your bag. And that's for like, people could... I don't know, let's say you like fainted on the train or something, like people would see that and be like, oh, she's pregnant. So like, they would know how to proceed.
Like faster medical attention and stuff. Or like offering a seat on the train,
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But there have been like, times when people have been like verbally harassed or even in some more rare cases like physically assaulted because they have this badge.
So dumb. Yeah.
So, yeah, there was like some opinions from people that were like, oh, they are just trying to get a free seat on the train, like. Meh.
What do you mean get a free seat on the train? Like, you need to sit down if you're carrying a watermelon, in your tummy. But okay, sure.
Yeah. So like there's all this talk about the declining birth rate and stuff, but still such like vitriol against pregnant women and just women in general. So I think like perhaps treating women better could be a part of the solution.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Do you remember? So it was recently, maybe within the past few years, there was a local government. I had to look up where it was. It was Onomichi in Hiroshima. Okay. But they were passing out pamphlets to women who had recently given birth about how to like attend to your husband and like keep him happy after you've given birth.
Fuck off. Okay. And who made that? A man?
Probably.
Some man in the shiyakusho in the city hall.
Obviously got a lot of backlash for that.
Yeah.
Because it was like, why don't you give him a massage? And like...
Why don't you shut up? Okay.
Yeah, so those are my thoughts.
I didn't know that. I had never heard of that scandal before.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I kind of wish I didn't know that information. That makes me so mad. Like,
read the article.
Yeah, on the opposite end of that, I've also heard, because in Japan you do register your pregnancy because you get a lot of benefits like, coupons for like you get like a coupon book from the city hall to help, pay for any medical expenses and stuff. You also get it's called like a boshitechou. So it's a book that helps you keep track of like your health and your baby's health and stuff. So I know we're talking about a lot of the downside of it, but like in comparison against the US, for example, that's the only reference I have. Like there is still a lot of support here in Japan towards like, mothers and giving birth. At least like you can tell they're trying. Like, is it successful? I'm not too sure, considering the birth rate is still very, very low. But I think because of that, there are some efforts being made, at least by like local there are some efforts being made by local municipalities. No, yes?
Yeah.
Municipalities to help, at least the residents in their town have like a safe delivery and all of that. So something's better than nothing.
Well, I guess it depends on the municipality.
Yeah.
But I wonder if any place like gives you money for like having kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I've done some research and I heard too. Okay. So depending on, of course, what prefecture you live in, like in what city, for example, I live in Osaka, so I searched Osaka. There is a kind of like a stipend or something for gomayan, so 50,000 yen, or what, $480 or something like that. Yeah. You get it before you give birth, and then you get another gomayan after you give birth, and that's just something that is like given to you. And that also requires like you get kind of like a mental health check by your what do you even call it? Like not a supervisor, but someone who like works for the like child welfare office in your city. And they kind of like give you a phone call and they ask like, how are you? Like, how is your support? Like, do you need anything? And they check in on you. And if you like participate in that, then you just get like some money. But that's all like I've like researched and heard about. But I don't know.
I guess you could use some of that for like, I don't know, diapers
like costs,
and supplies and things.
I mean, again, comparative to the US, I mean, any medical cost in Japan is like quite low. And I assume like giving birth, compared to the US.
I'm not sure about other countries where the healthcare is free. Well, taxed, but free.
And of course, depending like what kind of hospital and like what method of birth you choose to have and stuff too, that affects the cost. But I can't imagine it like with insurance and everything. I can't imagine anything being over like $10,000 here. Maybe even $5,000. I don't know. Like
either way, it's much cheaper than the US.
It just sounds so much cheaper than anything I would expect in the US. So no idea.
Yeah.
My personal thoughts on like, why birth rates and stuff are declining. This might be kind of more of an old school take because I don't really know a lot of Japanese women closer to my age bracket. This is from more of my experience when I worked at a junior high school in the countryside. So all of my coworkers were like, have been married for at least a couple years, or they're like way past the honeymoon phase. You know, they're like in their like 40s or 50s. Like they're all like married for a long time. And so a lot of them just kind of, at least based on like the conversations I've had with people around there, the impression I got was kind of like marriage just equals child rearing. Like once you get married, then your next step is to have a kid. And then once you have a kid, your role as like a parent or is kind of just fulfilled. You've just checked this box. And again, this is not everyone. This is my disclaimer. This is not everyone. This is kind of just like a big, in media, you're going to see it as like a big trope of like unhappy couples. Again, maybe more like boomer age or like from stories I've heard from people I know who are older than me. And so it's kind of just this thing where like, yeah, this box gets checked and then there's no other like reason for the married couple to like be involved with each other romantically like that anymore. They've kind of just like fulfilled their duty. And that could be a reason why, you know, only there's like a lot of like single child homes. Like I don't know a lot of Japanese people with like a lot of siblings at least. Again, it sounds kind of like super old school, but that's kind of like one of the ideas I had. And so maybe the younger generation kind of feeling that way or like knowing that, or maybe just saying that in their parents, I don't know, they realize like, well, I want to have more time for myself and more time to have fun and focus on my career and focus on my goals. And like, if they do have a partner, just spend time with their partner and like choose not to have a kid because they don't want that family life or, you know, they want to just kind of be together and stuff. And who knows? Like everyone has their own personal reasons, but that's kind of like what I thought a little bit. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
And I guess like it would be interesting, like maybe if we ever did a part 2 on this to not ask.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm shy. I'm not going to go out and do street interviews.
Street interview. Yeah, that's kind of personal. Like, do you want kids? Like,
yeah, but like to find surveys.
Yeah.
For different age ranges, because if there's like, I don't know, somebody in their 40s or 50s who hasn't had kids, like their reasons are probably different from someone who's like Gen Z, for example, who is like, I'm not going to have kids. Like, I'm sure the reasons would be different.
Yeah. I feel like as, you know, a woman from the U.S., I can list like 100 reasons why women don't want kids, like in the U.S. But it's kind of, I do need to do more research about like Japan specifically because, I mean.
Yeah, that would be interesting. So let us know if you want more on that. But another thing I wanted to bring up was that like how hard it is for single parents in this country.
Yeah.
Because more specifically, single mothers.
Yeah.
Like there's kind of stigma.
Oh, yeah.
In the U.S. at least, there's a lot of stigma towards single mothers. But in Japan, like the shame is way more. It's really, really like stigmatized.
Especially in like smaller rural areas. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, it's never like, let's shame the man who abandoned his family.
Yeah.
Let's shame the woman who's doing her best to like care for the child.
Yeah.
But I have a very dark story. Just wanted to briefly mention.
Okay.
So trigger warning for unaliving and bullying. So there was a 14-year-old girl in Hokkaido a few years ago who was severely bullied to the point of her like unaliving herself. And I don't know if there were ever consequences for the bullies, but on like probably X or like other places like that, like netizens were saying, well, like, oh, well, she had a single mom, so what?
Oh, that's so awful. That is so awful.
What does that have to do with the kids who bullied her?
That's so gross.
Yeah. So I also looked up, like, is there any government assistance for single mothers? So we will eventually do a deep dive on, like, adoption and foster care and that, because I've never heard anybody talk about that. Like, I know somebody who adopted, somebody in Japan who adopted a child, but, like, before that, I'd never heard about the adoption system or anything.
I'm very, very unfamiliar, so I don't want to like talk about anything I don't really know about that much. But I've seen like, I think a news story or something, some kind of documentary where there is an older couple where they haven't adopted any of these kids, I don't think, but they're very generous, and they fostered a lot of children like over the years.
Is that the family who fostered a lot of disabled children? Different one.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah. So it's not unheard of, but yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard a lot of research on it.
Yeah.
Or done a lot of research on it. Yeah.
We will eventually.
Yes.
But, yeah. So today, some stats for you. Today there are 1.4 million single parent households in Japan. 90% of them are single mothers.
Okay.
Okay. And 56% of families supported by single mothers live below the poverty line. More than half. So just for comparison, in the U.S., 33% of single mother families live in poverty. So it's a lot more in Japan, statistically.
I never would have thought that, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh. But so recently, this year, the joint custody thing was passed.
Yeah.
So it doesn't go into effect until 2026, but I wonder if some of these stats will maybe change with people sharing custody of kids.
I assume
Hopefully.
so, yeah.
Also wanted to bring up, like, because with some of these towns where, like, the population is decreasing rapidly, of course, there's a risk of, like, towns literally disappearing.
Yeah.
So just wanted to talk a little bit about, like, dying towns.
Yeah. Just in short, we're going to make another episode about, the housing market and stuff in Japan.
Actually, that's the next episode, actually.
Yeah.
The housing market.
But just to give you some numbers about how many towns are projected to be lost in the next few decades.
Yes.
A total of 744 Japanese municipalities are at risk of disappearing by 2050 due to a decrease in young women living in them. 7 prefectures are at risk of around 70% of their municipalities becoming extinct within the next 30 years. They are Akita, Aomori, Yamagata, Iwate, Wakayama, Kochi, and Fukushima. So, yeah, that's insane. But those prefectures were like listed earlier about the most decreasing populations, right? Like Aomori, Iwate, and all that.
Yeah. But like
extinct.
So like nobody's gonna be living in that town.
That's crazy. Why don't we just move everyone here and go up there? It's a very Patrick Star thought I just had, but you have to change it to W for Wumbo.
Yeah.
But
so I wanted to talk about 2 places that I've visited because they're like towns where you can really see the effect of the decreasing population. So one is Nagoro Scarecrow Village in Tokushima.
This one kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies, but yeah.
So now there are more scarecrows than people in the town. So it was a mining town. So at the time when the business was booming there were only about 300 people. So like it was always a tiny village.
Yeah.
But now there's less than 24 people.
Oh, that's insane in the whole village.
Yeah.
And then so of those 24, like how many of them are elderly?
I'm pretty sure the majority of them are elderly.
It's like not one kid in that town.
Yeah, so most people moved away for better work opportunities.
Yeah.
But there was a lady who grew up there. Her name is Ayano Tsukimi. And she went back to the town and she started making these scarecrows to kind of commemorate the people who used to live there. So like every scarecrow has a name, a story.
Yeah.
So like it's so sad.
It's so sad. Like the story behind it, the reason behind it is so sad. Basically, people are moving out of that town, and because she wants to, I guess, I don't know, like replace those people or kind of like liven up the town, kind of like how it used to be. I don't know if like you've seen these videos, but like, so the reason why I know about this village is because I've seen, like TikToks or YouTubes about it, and it's always like, come with me to the most creepy town in Japan or whatever, and then it like shows footage of the scarecrows everywhere, and then they're kind of like played with, like scary music, kind of creepy music, which like at first I was like, oh yeah, that is creepy. Like it is still kind of like, I don't know, gives me the chills a little bit, but like I didn't know it was because this like there was this woman there just making them to like replace her residence. I don't know. It's really sad, scary.
Yeah. So I think at this point there are now 350 scarecrows. Oof. So that's more than there ever were people.
Insane. And does she move them around, or are they kind of just like they stay put in their little area?
Well, some of them are outside, so they probably get like worn down due to weather. So I think she might like replace them or like touch them up. But yeah, they probably do move around too. Not on their own.
Yeah,
they are probably moved.
I see.
Yeah, because there's like where the old elementary school was. It's like a huge gymnasium. There's a lot in there.
Yeah. I saw. Did you post that recently?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
I remember seeing footage of one, and they were in the gym. Yeah. But
you can really see the effect of like the decreasing population there. And there's also an area of Hokkaido called Yubari. So that is also an area that has one of the most rapidly increasing aging populations. They say that it's rare to see kids in that town.
Oh, okay.
So I went there a couple years ago because Yubari is also like they have a mascot called Melon Bear.
Okay,
it's like
cute. Oh, maybe
it's a scary bear with
like
a melon on his head.
But he's got like claws or something.
Yeah,
right?
He's got the claws. His teeth are like. Like kids are always crying when they see.
I see him. Yeah.
I wanted to go to the melon bear shop, and then also Yubari is home to the most expensive melon in the world.
Oh,
the Yubari melon.
And how much
kind of like
is
a cantaloupe.
Yeah.
I think at like auction it was like $50,000 or something.
I'm so sorry. Like
I had a piece of it.
Yeah.
When I was there, just a little slice was like $5.
Was it nice? Like, was it good?
I'm not a fan of cantaloupe.
Oh, okay.
It was sweet though. It was better than I expected.
Yeah.
But it's not my preferred fruit.
Like, listen, yes, the quality of like food and fruit in Japan is so good. Like, of course, they really sell, there's never any like dents or what do you call them in fruit? Like
blemishes?
like I don't know. They're very beautiful and everything is just like very, very presentable. So like, yes, you're going to pay a little more money for fruit. 50,000 yen, you said? Goman yen?
Yeah, but the stuff that gets auctioned off is like...
I mean, yeah, it's an auction. But
I don't know if people even eat it.
So what do they do? They just stare at it and like let it rot?
Yeah, because like those square watermelons?
Yeah.
You can't eat those.
You can't?
I don't think so.
Isn't that just like bad for the environment?
Someone needs to get it and cut it open and eat it.
And just look. That's true. Actually, I've never seen like it cut up or like what it looks like on the inside. But that just sounds, now that I know that, bad for the environment.
The triangle watermelon?
Yeah. Because like that's like water being used. That's like fertilizer being used for something that can't be eaten. Okay.
No.
Sure.
So, okay. That pretty much is where we're going to end this episode.
Yeah.
I said this in the beginning, and I'm going to say it again. It's a very complex topic.
Yeah.
The stuff that we covered here is not like any and all possible relevant information. It just happens to be the stuff that I researched. So if you want a part 2, let us know. If you have your own sources for us to check out, something that we could talk about on here, please send. If you're going to correct us, send a source.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I thought you were going to say, if you're going to correct us, don't.
No.
Yeah. Please send a source.
No, we can definitely be wrong sometimes. But I did so much research for this episode.
You did.
So
yeah, if you could see our page notes, you want to say how many pages this one episode has?
Usually it's like 2 to 3 pages, but this one is like 8 pages, maybe 9.
So basically, Frankie wrote an academic paper. She wrote a research paper for this episode.
I'm going to submit this to an academic journal.
So please show it some love. But of course, let us know your thoughts on it too. Especially, if you have any personal opinions on if you're comfortable sharing,
personal
like
opinions
why you don't want kids or why you
Yeah.
have kids in Japan and stuff too.
And
That's
of course,
really fine.
be respectful of other people's opinions and stuff. So
For sure. But thanks for following us.
Yeah. I'm so curious how long this is will have been?
I don't know.
Will it take the record for the longest episode yet?
All this time, we could have been contributing to helping increase Japan's population.
Oh my gosh.
We're part of the problem, I guess.
We're doing a podcast instead of repopulating the earth.
How dare us? And we're past 25 or past 30 at this point.
Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm already expired. Don't look to me for answers.
What is that dude's name? The conservative leader who wants to, like, I don't know, fix and spade all women in Japan? It's not important. We don't need to know his name, but anyway, don't show that guy any love. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for listening
and
watching. And we will catch you in the next episode about housing and all the abandoned and vacant homes in Japan.
Yes. All right.
Bye.
Bye.